I wanted to strangle him, but instead I smiled. "Come with me, detective." I took him to the bathroom and pointed at the trash can. Inside was the torn wrapper from a brand new toothbrush. "You missed a big clue, Sherlock. Some detective you are." He frowned, looking from the trash to me. "It could have been planted." That was his answer for everything he couldn't explain. So I smirked and said the one line that set off everything. "If you're such a detective, why not solve a real mystery?" He froze. Then his eyes lit up. "You're right. The great Sherlock Holmes should be solving the biggest mystery in the city." I didn't think anything of it. Should've. The next few days, Ethan locked himself in his room. A handwritten sign hung from his door. "Investigation in progress. Do not disturb." First I thought it was adorable, until I started hearing him talk to himself in different accents, muttering things like, "By God, that must be it," or the pattern fits." One night I knocked on his door, half amused, half concerned. "Ethan, dinner's ready." "No time. The case demands my full attention." I rolled my eyes and walked away, but something about the way he said it gave me chills, because around that time, there was a real darkness hanging over our town. 6 women had gone missing in the past year. All at night. All within a few miles of each other. Dad made us lock the doors religiously and even enforced a curfew. Everyone assumed there was a killer on the loose. And Ethan was now investigating it. A week passed before Ethan emerged from his cave, eyes bloodshot, hair sticking up like he'd been electrocuted. He grabbed my arm and said, "You have to see this. It's all connected." He led me into his room and my jaw dropped. The walls were covered in newspaper clippings, photos of the missing women, printouts of online articles. A huge map of the city covered one wall, with red and blue dots scattered across it. Red for victims, blue for churches. Colored string connecting them in a chaotic web of lines and circles. It looked like something straight out of a true crime documentary. He pointed dramatically at the map. "It's a vampire." Blink. "Excuse me. A vampire, obviously." The women all vanished at night. None of them disappeared near any churches, see? Vampires can't go on hallowed ground. It all fits. I couldn't help but laugh. "Ethan, that's ridiculous." But as I stepped closer to the map, something about it felt eerie. The red dots weren't random. They formed a rough circle, like a noose tightening around something. And just to tease him, I took his red marker and started connecting the dots, one by one, until every line met, right in the center. "You're ruining my investigation," he snapped. But I just stared. My stomach went cold. Because the point where all those lines met was our house. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that stupid map. About how Ethan's dots, random or not, had formed a perfect target centered on us. I told myself it was coincidence. A 10-year-old's imagination. But then I started noticing things. The back door, sometimes unlocked in the morning, even though Dad always locked it. Footprints in the garden. And once, a faint metallic smell near the side gate, like iron. Ethan wouldn't talk to me after that. He just kept writing in his notebook, watching from windows. Once I caught him staring at Dad, just staring, as Dad poured himself a drink after work. When I asked what he was doing, he whispered, "Observation. The suspect always returns to the scene of the crime." I laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" "I'm closing in on the vampire." A few nights later, Dad was late again. Thunder shook the windows. The kind of night where you can almost feel something bad coming. I was reading in bed when I heard it. Ethan's voice low and shaking. "Get out of the house." He was standing in my doorway, pale as chalk, holding his magnifying glass like a weapon. "What?" I said, "Get out." "He's in the basement." My heart dropped. "What are you talking about?" He grabbed my wrist and dragged me toward the stairs. The vampire. Followed the clues. The footprints. The missing keys. The smell of blood. Before I could stop him, he threw open the basement door. And that's when I smelled it. Metallic, sour, heavy. Blood. There was movement in the dark. I screamed. Then a voice came from the shadows. "What the hell are you two doing down here?" It was Dad, standing beside the old freezer, his shirt stained. For a second no one moved. Ethan pointed his magnifying glass like it was a cross. "I know what you are." Dad laughed. "Whoa, Cole. You think this is a game, kid?" Ethan stepped closer. "I found the earrings. In your toolbox." My stomach turned. I hadn't seen Dad's eyes look that way before. Wide, wild. Then he lunged. Ethan screamed, and I slammed the door shut, locking it from the outside. We ran. The back. Into the rain. Straight to the neighbors. They called the police. The cops searched the basement. They found the freezer. And what was inside? Dad was arrested that night. He confessed to everything. 6 women. Ethan's vampire theory might have been childish, but his instincts, they saved our lives. The local paper called him the boy detective. But to me, he'll always be the kid who refused to stop asking questions, even when the answers were horrifying. Sometimes justice doesn't come from strength or experience. Sometimes it comes from innocence, and the courage to see what adults refuse to. Ethan wanted to be Sherlock Holmes. And in the end, he solved the biggest case our town ever had. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, and tell me in the comments. Would you have believed your little brother? And of course, subscribe for more stories that prove one thing. Sometimes the truth hides in plain sight.